Hey, what's going on, Wolfman fans? Welcome back to another video. Another beautiful morning. This is the day before 4th of July. 4th of July Eve? No, we'll just call it the 3rd of July. So it is a lovely Friday. It's looking like it's shaping up to be a very lovely Friday. Maybe a little hot, maybe a bit humid, especially if you're living somewhere in the South. I know particularly the great state of Texas. Obviously, that's because that's where I'm from. That's where I live. Before I get really into this, I wanted to say there's some exciting news in the world right now. And I'm not talking Black Lives Matter. I'm not talking about the new strain of H1N1 swine flu that's popping up in China that could potentially go pandemic. Maybe we should look at the source there. Anyway, not talking about that. I'm not even talking about the presidential race and Joe Biden and President Trump. No, I'm talking about Jeffrey Epstein's main procurer of girls, his madam, if you will. Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested. Finally. She's been on the run ever since we finally arrested Jeffrey Epstein this last time. She has been on the run, in hiding, supposedly being tracked by the feds, but nobody could find her. Nobody knew exactly where she was. She was arrested, finally. So, they're looking at, 6 felony charges on her right now? I'm not going to go through the list of them. You guys can look that up. I can tell you perjury is one of them. But there's a list of them. Anyways, you guys understand the implications of this. If you understand the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing and his connections to so many prominent people, same with Ghislaine Maxwell being how deeply embedded she is, think about how bad this could look for a lot of people. Think about it. A lot of people could be going down. We could be seeing a lot of activity happening on that front. So you guys be keeping your eyes open, and we'll see how this plays out. Anywho's, all right, so today I'm going to do something a little bit different that I don't usually do this. I'm going to actually dissect a song. I'm going to dissect the song lyrics. I have them written down here in front of me. I know this song so well that I didn't have to write down the lyrics. But you guys know how I am, and I'll get way off track and lose my train of thought. Hell, my train of thought will leave without me completely. So I've got it written down so I can kind of keep to it. A little precursor to this is, excuse me, I want to kind of start off by saying a little bit about my past. I grew up kind of a misfit. I wasn't really super popular. I didn't have tons of friends, and the few friends that I did seem to make seemed to be more liberal, which is fine, you know. And even today, I don't necessarily have a problem with liberal-minded individuals, but this is what I've noticed over the years. Especially it has never been more evident than it has been in this last 6 months. Okay, these circles that I used to run in, which were more creative groups like artists, musicians, stuff such as that. I was in theater at one point. You know, I hung around with guys that. You know, we all tried to start a band, and they all, played guitar, or drums, or something of that nature. These are the kind of individuals that I would listen to. That I'd hang out with. We'd go to a dude's house, and we'd just hang around listening to like Pink Floyd all night. You know, these are the kind of people I hung around with and associated with. And again, this isn't to say that these people are bad people at all. No, quite the contrary. They're not. There's still, I think, very highly of them. Even today, they're still really good people, and I would still like to consider them my good friends. Here's the thing. As things have progressed the way they have, the more liberal-minded individuals tend I mean, they're going to shift that direction. They're going to shift to the left. They're going to stay on the left. They also tend to be the most closed-minded individuals. They don't like to listen to any alternate thought process, any other reasoning, which seems a little bit backwards considering that they are supposed to be the more open-minded people. But they don't like to listen to any kind of opinion that doesn't line up with their own, which it's disappointing. But these are the same people they're the ones that are fear-mongering about the coronavirus masks. And no amount of logic or reasoning or even proof and evidence and stuff, nothing's going to change their mind. They've already bought into the idea that the masks work. They already bought into the idea that Bernie Sanders is the way to go. Well, he's out of the race, so I guess next best thing is Joe Biden. These people, again, I love my friends, and I still think very highly of them, but I really wish that they'd at least open up their minds and listen to a little bit of reason. Now, I preface with that to get to this. One of the most beloved songs by really almost the entire world, and rightfully so, but especially the liberals, especially the left, is John Lennon's Imagine. Now, for my own part, this song is beautifully written. It's really well done. It does what music should do. It has lyrics that make you think, and it has the music. It brings up emotion, and I think good music should be able to do that. Should be able to take you and put you in a different place and make you feel a certain way. Music should be able to affect you in that way. But what gets overlooked sometimes, or not so much overlooked, but generalized, is the lyrics of Imagine. So, I'm going to go through those. But Imagine's lyrics are very much taken to be just, imagine a world just nobody's fighting and everything's peaceful. At a very base level, you could say, yes, that's true. But if you read more into it, there's a lot more to it than that. So we're going to go ahead and get into that right now. So we go in the first verse. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Okay, so this is an imagination. Let's imagine that religion is not true. There's no God. There's no Satan. There's no heaven. No hell. So, at one hand, you could look at that going, okay, well, some kind of religious infighting, such as we've had with Islamic extremists, or even this goes as far back as the Crusades, because people love to bring up the Crusades. Let's go back that far. We don't have that kind of religious tension, and we don't have that kind of fighting because it's not there. That's the idea. So you're not fighting for that, and you're also not trying to do good works just for the sake of getting into heaven and staying out of hell. It means that there's no real point in it. What are you fighting for? So that takes away from any religious aspect of religious reason for living your life a certain way, or things to fight for, or even just things to believe in, things that might give you hope. That takes away from that already. It says, imagine, and at the end of that verse says, imagine all the people living for today. Okay, so the problem with that is, imagine all the people living for today, so you're not worried about tomorrow, and you don't care about yesterday. You're only living for today. Well, that's not smart. Yes, you should enjoy today, and you should take advantage of today and the opportunities that present themselves today. I mean, you can't forget to stop and smell the flowers, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, tomorrow is incredibly important. So, having a plan for your future and being able to say, you know, I'm secure today. I know I will be secure tomorrow and 10 years on to the future. That's important. Living for today, it can, I mean, it's at a very base level, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but at a deeper level, it's dangerous thinking because it's irresponsible. And it negates completely everything in the past, preventing you from learning any lessons for the future. So, moving on. Second verse. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Okay, so this is a very globalist idea. Again, base level. There's no countries. There's no reason to fight. There's no nationalities. You don't have those boring border states and nothing like that. So there's no politicians running individual countries that are going to fight them, that cause us all to go to war. Which again, on a base level, seems great. But the problem with that is now we have a very homogenized, flat group of nobodies in the middle. There's no individuality amongst us. It's this globalist idea, and it's dangerous. Nothing to kill or die for. I honestly feel like I don't like the idea of having to kill somebody. I mean, granted, you got to do what you got to do, but you should avoid trying to kill somebody at all costs. Even if as a soldier in war, you should try to avoid having to kill somebody at all costs. But again, sometimes it happens. Nothing to die for. There's plenty of things in my life to die for. I would die for my country. I would die for my family. I would take a bullet for my family without question. So saying that there's nothing to kill for, well, I guess, that's not necessarily an issue. But, I mean, honestly, there's some things worth fighting for that you're even willing to kill for if you have to, if it comes down to that. Nothing to die for. The whole statement, nothing to kill or die for, is cowardly to me. It means you're not willing to put yourself even in a bad situation or risk your own life. So that's a cowardly statement to me. Again, on a base level, it sounds very nice. No religion too. This 2 verses, and he's already mentioned no religion twice. So the thought process, like he's really pushing the idea of no religion. And that's a problem. That's an issue. Yeah, there's religions that we may disagree with the way they do things, but I'm a Christian. Being a Christian myself, I know what the teachings of the Bible, the teachings of Jesus. I know these things, and we try to. Our goal is to be peaceful. Our goal is to treat our enemies as our brothers. Treat other people as we would like to be treated. That kind of thing. We try to peace is the goal. So, and we have all these different moral codes, and we have all these different things that come up in the Bible. These different parables that are taught to us that teach us that we need to have some kind of a moral compass, and that morality leads us to be better people and treat people better. And our nation was founded on those principles. Like it or not, whether you believe that or not, go back and actually do some historical research, and you'll find that to be true. So the idea of no religion altogether is a godless person that sees no consequence one way or another for anything he or she does. That's an issue to me. And then it goes again to the bridge here. Imagine all the people living life in peace. I don't have a problem with people living life in peace. There's nothing wrong with that. But to say that you imagine all the people living life in peace is to imagine that people will never again have anything to ever squabble or bicker over. You're never going to have a drive-by. You're never going to have you're not ever going to have gang shootings or anything like that again. The problem with that is people are selfish. People, and I've said this before, people are going to people. I can see that my dog just jumped on the bed. I see you. Yeah, I see you. Sorry about that. Anyway, then it goes on to the chorus. Imagine, it goes on to the people, the chorus, excuse me. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us and the world can live as one. So, yes, he's dreaming of a world of peace, but I think when he's dreaming of a world of peace, he's doing it on a very generalized level and not considering the deeper meaning and consequences of what he's suggesting. And he's hoping everybody else will join him. This is very 60s-esque kind of idea, even though I think this song was actually written in the 70s. Either way, it's very much of smacks of that whole flower power movement, which unfortunately had a very big problem with authority and law. They didn't want any law. They didn't want any authority. They just wanted to, go about doing whatever they did without anybody holding them accountable for anything or having any kind of responsibility in this world. So it's negligible. You see what I'm saying? Moving on, you say, imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of man. Okay, so imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. Okay, so imagine no possessions. Imagine you don't have nothing in life. Now, I myself, I quite like a lot of my possessions. I like my truck. I like my guns. I'm very appreciative of my dog, and you can go either way, calling that a possession or, oh, it's a living being. You could look at it either way. Look, I bought him. I paid money to make sure that he is maintained and he is paid for and taken care of. He's as much of a family member to me, but he is still, I own him. So, but I like having my coffee pot, again, my truck and my guns and stuff like that. I like my possessions. And if I imagine having no possessions, I imagine that means me living homeless with nothing, and that actually sounds kind of miserable. It sounds kind of shitty, to be honest with you. So imagine no possessions is kind of shitty. And then he says, I wonder if you can. So he's challenging people to think about what it would be like to have no possessions. And I feel like that's kind of like a statement coming from a person sitting on some kind of a high horse, especially coming from somebody like John Lennon, who himself had a ton of money. He was very well off. Hell, even the apartments that he lived in by the time that he was killed by Mark David Chapman back, I think it was like 1980, 1981. Those apartments are very expensive to live in. Very expensive apartment complex in New York City. The man had money. He had a lot of money. He could buy what not everybody can afford. The cost of a piano. Pianos are fairly expensive. He had one. I know this because I've never owned a piano in my life, and I probably never will. One, because I don't play piano, and two, because why would I spend that much money on something I'd never play? The man had money. So for him to sit there and say, imagine no possessions, I wonder if you can do it, is him talking to you from a high horse, and that should be insulting, to be honest. Or at least that's how I take it. You guys can take it whatever way you want. He says, no need for greed or hunger. Well, hunger isn't a need, so I don't know where he's saying that. I mean, I guess it flows in that line. I guess that flows that way, but you don't need for hunger. Nobody needs for hunger. And it would be wonderful to be no need for hunger. And there's also not a need for greed either. So to say a need for greed or hunger is a fallacy. I don't know why he would say it that way. It makes no sense to me, because nobody needs to be greedy and nobody needs to be hungry. There's never a need for that. Hunger is a unfortunate circumstance of a lack of food. It's unfortunate. And some people live in places in this world where food, adequate food is, well, it's not abundant and it's hard to survive. That's an unfortunate consequence in this world. Plus, food costs money, and people sometimes are living below that poverty line, especially in some other places in the world. They can't afford to have enough money they can't afford to have enough food to get them from one day to the next. They have to live for today. They know what it's like to have no possessions. and they know what hungry is, because that's all they can do. They can't do any better in life. That's where they're at. That's why we have charities and stuff that are meant to help these people. There's no need for greed. I don't know where he gets that idea. Greed is a unfortunate human condition that causes some of these other things that he says. Imagine this not being a thing. Greed happens. Actually, greed leads people to try to think this way so that they can reap all the benefits. Greed is a dangerous thing, and I agree that it's not a good thing. So at least we're agreeing on that, but he says it like it's a need for it. I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, moving on. A brotherhood of man. Okay, well, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but I think again, it's one of those things that's on the surface level. It sounds great, but wholly impractical, because that is to say that there's not ever going to be some kind of defining difference sociologically or whatever that's going to make a split. That's going to make one group feel jealous of another group. That's going to make this group feel superior to this group. You know what I mean? That's the problem with that. So Brotherhood of Man, though it sounds great, it is something you'd have to work to imagine. I will give him that. And then it goes again, imagine all the people sharing all the world. Okay, well, that's not going to happen. We share the world as best as we can within our own countries, and it would honestly be wonderful if you'd stop having dickhole dictators like dude in North Korea. It would be nice if all the places in Europe stopped hating Trump so much that they didn't want Americans in their country, because they all associate us with our president, which understandably he's the figurehead of this country. But if I get somebody coming from England to come visit in Texas, I'm just excited to show this person my home. And I show him how proud I am of it, and show him how awesome it could be. I'm excited to show him around. I don't give a damn about the Queen of England. I don't give a damn about his Prime Minister. It has nothing to do with him as an individual. So yeah, it'd be great if we could stop that kind of thinking, and we could just travel freely, and we could share the world. But this has globalist connotations, because he already talks about no countries. So you're getting rid of countries, getting rid of borders, and it's just and getting rid of possessions and religion, basically making us a bunch of Neanderthals just wandering the earth aimlessly. We have no past, we have no future. It's just today. As long as we can survive getting attacked by a tiger today and be able to get enough food to survive for today, that's what matters. That is what this song is implying. You could take it on a very base level, that it implies some kind of a nice, beautiful utopia. You get down to it, if you really dissect this, it's kind of a shitty, it sounds like a shitty world. It sounds like an awful sounding place. So all you liberal-minded leftist individuals who praise this song for all of its beauty and everything, look, it's a beautifully written song. He sings it very beautifully. And it does bring up and make you feel those emotions. It is wonderful. And I still enjoy listening to the song. But I challenge you guys to really sit down and dissect these lyrics and try to apply these lyrics to your mind. Like he says, imagine. Go ahead and imagine these things. Imagine them in your head. No possessions is going to kill a lot of you guys. It's going to mess up a lot of you guys, because some of you guys can't get away from your iPhones. Some of you can't get away from your TV, your computer. If you have no possessions, you have no Instagram, you have no Twitter, you have no Facebook. You have nothing. That's going to get a lot of you guys if you really sit down and actually imagine it. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. I thought it's a little bit of a change, a little bit different. I thought I'd kind of switch it up a bit, but it was still pertinent and still relevant to this channel, so I wanted to go ahead and go through that, because I hear so many they love this song and they use it like the backdrop to their messages. They like to have it playing in the background and have some kind of compilation of pictures over it of you know, different strife that's going on in the world to make you feel bad. And they really clearly haven't listened very hard to the song or even tried to do what the song says in Imagine. And you know, for all I know, John Lennon was actually saying all this stuff to imagine to challenge people to imagine this kind of a world because he knew it wasn't a feasible thing. But I don't know that. I don't know what John Lennon was thinking. I'm honestly, the way he lived most of his life, I'm thinking it was probably quite the opposite. He was probably suggesting that this is the better option. But anyway, that's all I got. Hey guys, it's Friday. We're about to go into the weekend. You guys rock the rest of your day. Have a great day. Come home and get some good sleep tonight because you know what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow we fire up the grills, throw some meat on the grill, be it burgers, bratwurst, hot dogs, or steak, in my case, steak. We're getting our cookout on, and we're going to start blowing stuff up because it's the 4th of July, and there's almost no, I don't think there's a more important holiday for this country. This is where it's at, and it's time to have a good time. It's time to celebrate this country's birthday. So, to everybody out there, I don't know if I'm making a video tomorrow, but in case I don't, happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. You guys have a great weekend and stay awesome. We'll see you in the next video. Later.